Hi, everybody, and welcome to our engaging training on why online training sucks. We're going to start with an agenda. The first thing we want to do is draw a model. This is a pyramid model, and then we're going to do another model.
Paris, come on, man. Let's get on with the show.
Virtual training doesn't need to be like this, does it? There's really no excuse for it nowadays. You see, technology allows us to go beyond black boxes and disengaging presentations. Come check out how we do it.
All right, welcome everyone. Good to have you all here. I'm happy to see so many of you at the first ever Talent Hacks webinar. How is everybody? The ones I can see at least, wave hello. Good. My sound is coming through. So my name is Paris Thomas. I'm the CEO of Talent Hacks, and I will be your stage monkey for today. While we're on the topic of webinars, you've noticed already that this is not a webinar. It's a meeting. And really, we struggled with this decision until one day the team just decided to take a leap of faith, and on the topic such as engagement in online training, use the right platform for the right context. If I can't see you, I don't get any feedback, and that means my energy drops and engagement is out the window. So thank you all for making this as real as it can be. We did send a survey before this, and many of you said that you will be comfortable turning on your camera and being named. And if you have not yet, this is the time to turn on your camera. And we will respect anyone who wishes to stay anonymous and keep their camera off. Just know that if we ever do business together, it's a cardinal rule. Camera on or you're not participating. Okay, speaking of the pre-webinar questionnaire, here's why you're all here. We have a healthy mix of intent. Let me just move on to be here. We have a healthy mix of intent between caring about the technology and wanting to know about activities and practices, seeing how we here at Talent Hacks do things, and maybe just interested in getting inspired. Just a quick disclaimer that if you came here to learn how to set up the technology, just know that this isn't the topic of today. However, we did put together a cheat sheet of the technology we use and how it fits together. And we'll drop that in the Zoom chat at the end of the webinar. Let's get started. Now, you've all participated in virtual workshops, right? I mean, it's 2022, and some of you I can see may have delivered them. And you know that through virtual workshops, it's even more difficult to retain attention, especially because you're lacking that social presence of others. The amount of distractions is just insane. So it's even more critical that we do something to boost engagement. But what has the L&D industry been doing these past 2 years? They have been trying to translate the in-person experience into a virtual experience, but that's not good enough. Before we dive into how we use technology to drive engagement, let's talk about why this is needed. First, let's set the frame for why technology is a major player in corporate training these days, aka the chaotic age of different generations in the workforce. I'll put a particular focus on Gen Z because by looking at them, we can stay ahead of the curve. And this is not only because Gen Z are considered digital natives. They have never known a pre-internet world. After all, they expect great, seamless, tech-based experiences everywhere, including the workplace, as a given. You see, for them, the use of technology everywhere is like turning on a tap and expecting water to pour out. You're not impressed by the water, but you'd be really pissed off if nothing came out. It's a given. Equally important to consider is Gen Z's mindset. They live in bleak, bleak times. In the wake of 2 years of COVID-threatened economic job prospects, the work from home phenomenon, the defiant tide of the Great Resignation thereafter, as well as the hybrid work and now the return to the office, Gen Z are more jaded than ever before. If companies are going to deliver training to these generations, or anyone for that matter, that actually engages them and achieves learnability, said training had better be delivered in a way suited to their mindset, their familiarities, their priorities, and their generational clout. So is it as simple as just adding technology? Well, remember, Gen Z is not impressed by this. They expect it. So it's a bit more layered than that. Simply put, Gen Z are stressed, suspicious, irreverent, tech-dependent, and there's very little divide between their real and their digital lives. Meanwhile, how do they like to learn? Well, no surprise. Self-directedly, unafraid of researching on their own. Collaboratively, they love to share everything they know. And seamlessly, with search latency being a big no-no. Where does that leave us in terms of attention span? According to Shopify's blog, the average attention span of a millennial is 12 seconds, but it's only 8 seconds for Generation Z. Additionally, Gen Z uses more digital platforms simultaneously. Millennials typically bounce between 3 screens at the same time, and that's already a lot. Gen Z use 5 screens at the same time. Imagine that. By the way, I have 11 screens in this office, so I don't know where that leaves me. Now, back to online training, tech, and learnability. With many remote and hybrid workforces, more and more training initiatives are moving online. We know this to be true. If you're seeing low participation in your online programs, you can turn it around. According to Entrepreneur magazine, here are 4 reasons why participation may be failing. First of all, it's not addressing the root cause. It's too long, not intuitive, not aligned with the job roles, not accessible to everybody, not convenient, the list goes on. It leaves out the why. Training does not tap into what's in it for the participants, therefore it's not relatable. It's too cookie cutter. Having one approach for everyone doesn't sit well with participants seeking specific skills for specific goals. We live in the creator economy. How can people still think that off the shelf is a product that is interesting? And then finally, training is just not fun. Participants need to be engaged with a variety of mediums and interaction points, gamification, leaderboards, badges, incentives, guest speakers, forums. The list of ingredients is absolutely massive. The good news is that with tech, the possibilities are endless. We're going to show you some of the ways in which we use technology to accomplish 10x engagement in our virtual training. And I hope this inspires you to improve your own relationship with technology. First, let's understand that in online training, the medium is different. It's video. The trainer is a video, which means the expectations of what this medium can deliver is the video of the caliber of YouTube, Netflix, TikTok. So when a trainer steps on the virtual stage to deliver content, they need to understand that they're now competing with everything else on the screen, on all screens. So if we are a video to them, like I am a video to you right now, then how do we make that video as engaging as possible? How do we make it come to life? For us, everything changed when we realized that we are the director, the actor, and the scriptwriter of a movie. So the question on our mind became obvious. Do we want our movie to be a blockbuster or a bust? So 2 years ago, we embarked on a journey to make that little video window more wow. We decided to give people a show. And today, we'll showcase 10 ways to boost engagement through technology. Hopefully you find it inspiring. Here it goes. Engagement tactic number 1. The most basic engagement tactic and the person at the center of it all is the lead trainer. In this case, it happens to be me. In person, this is a no-brainer. The trainer is on a stage, hopefully not stuck behind a podium, and all the normal public speaking skills are at play. interacting with the audience, walking around, hopefully not turning their back to the room to read from the slides, etc. Online, this has become as dry as figs on a sunny porch in Cyprus. Most online training relies on Zoom's shared screen, and trainers accept their presence to be diminished to a tiny little window top right. I think we all know how boring and life-sucking this is. So here at Talent Hacks, we spent the last 2 years figuring out a way to move away from literal interpretations and into the new medium of video as a movie. Before I demo some of the capabilities of our studio, I want you to take a look at a short video collage I put together of the various experiments we were running as we were trying to find tech solutions to the engagement dilemma and our own use case. And the video begins in the harsh lockdowns of March 2020. Here it goes.
Okay, I think this is working. So this is sick because I hacked it. You basically connect two cameras, and many times I talk to participants and my shared screen is here, so I'm looking here while talking to them. If I press and hold, hello, hi, so I'm here now. And if I press and hold again, and I'm back.
In this setup, I'm using the Logitech software, so I can just click and go through the menus and talk through stuff. And I can be on a coaching call maybe, if this could be live. Now I don't know if it can happen live. We'll worry about that another time. Okay, this is recording, testing 1, 2, 3 with pink background. With more pink backgrounds. So testing 1, 2, 3, I'm moving around, da, da, da. Now we have a yellow background. This is black background, blue. This is blue, darker blue, royal blue, blue screen, blue screen, blue screen, blue screen. And that's it. Our audience, it needs to be real time. So when somebody asks a question, we need to be able to answer that question in real time. And you can't work with anything more than 3 or 4 seconds buffer. And then I started thinking, well, what do I do if I wanted to use different colors of the color spectrum? And anything that has black in it has become transparent. So I now know which colors to select to make sure that they're bright and visible. And this is now test number 2, which is using the cam link, but connected through the Blackmagic. Don't know if any of this is going to work. I changed something else in the settings. I'm hoping that this makes a difference in the cam link, but we won't know until now. And this is the real test to see the real difference in quality. So today I'm going to talk about front stage innovation, and the company has a product called Aqualoop. Seeing here is 3 business models out of the many that we're exploring that are able to provide you with wider distribution. I've already superimposed the background to see how good it would look potentially, but I don't know how this would work. The questions we ask, and we're going to talk about the answers we get. Because, Malaga, this is a Zoom call. So if we're going to talk about the business model canvas, and we're going to do this and show them something. Focus, because the camera, like, I'm continuous focus, and the focus should be set. So this issue. But I wouldn't do that though.
No.
What's going on now?
This is
on the learning from both topics, what we're already in effect. This is like telling the weather. Dude, you're live. This is awesome.
How are you?
You have to understand, it's really awkward when you watch somebody on YouTube for so long and then they show up in person.
I get it. No, very good to meet you.
And so what you're looking at here is my master plan, where this is where I'm standing right now in my plenary area, and this is where I was before. So that's one of the issues I had, is because I've maxed out, right? I have the 2 monitors totally maxed. And sometimes I might have the actual presentation, which would look like that. And then I have a whiteboard behind that, so I get offline.
Fully understand it. It's a fantastic setup. Probably, I was about to say one of the best I've seen, but I'm quite happy to say probably the best I've seen, actually.
Oh, wow.
In
Awesome.
quite a long time, for sure.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that and saw the evolution of my hair until that point. And it was really fun to actually learn something, which is when you're trying to learn something in a space that is really difficult to find a leader. And I realized early on that who was leading this space was gamers, YouTubers, and churches. I started contacting the best ones out there and offered them or asked them if they offer coaching. So they became my mentor. I paid them to basically sounding board what the different things we were developing. So that was a tactic that helped us evolve the studio. And as you saw in the video, we rely on a lot of buttons to make what you see more alive. And just when we started, it was 5 o'clock Cyprus time, which means the air conditioning in the office turned off, and I started sweating because if it turns off, the text starts turning off. So very quickly after that, Dino turned it on again, and now I'm good and cool. All right, so what I can do here, I'm gonna demo some of these things. The video as a movie, you're already watching it live, by the way. You saw some of these things in this nice blue background that changes on my command. And you can see that I can change size and go to different parts of the screen. I can say bye-bye and I can show up again. And I can do all sorts of things with just magic buttons that I have in front of me. And I'll be showing the videos, the studio capability as I go through these 10 different tactics. You see a lot of different things. This is really the first behind the scenes we're doing publicly. So by the way, it doesn't really matter because by tomorrow it's all obsolete. We have to do something else. So anyways, let's move on to engagement tactic number 2. The second engagement tactic relates to how participants interact with the content, group work. They're in teams through workshop style exercises. Back in the day, when in-person was the primary mode of delivery, we used to fill rooms with posters so that participants would stand up, move around, get their energy levels high when working on any exercise. This is what a typical training room would look like, minus the leopard carpeting. And we even took things a step further and bought ourselves a plotter printer to get people more immersed in the experience of the wall. Online, group work took the form of Zoom breakout sessions. Show of hands, how many of you have experienced breakout sessions during an online training? Good, you live on planet Earth. So the trainer may give you some exercises in PDF or use live editing software like Google Suite, or even try out some virtual whiteboards like Miro or Mural. The problem with this is that too often participant teams are left on their own in the breakout, sometimes making them feel that really this is a break for the trainer. This is not as engaging as it should be. So we took a little bit of a different perspective. You see, technology gave us an opportunity to simulate a large-scale conference where you have a plenary stage, which is where we are now, and smaller rooms where more detailed work takes place. And if you've been to such a conference, you know that the plenary area is a rock stage where music plays and excitement builds to lead you to the breakout rooms and return from them full of energy and excitement. So here's how we simulate this. First of all, we condition our audience through music and sound effects. Every time they hear this sound, they know to expect that they will be teleported to a breakout session every single time. While they're there, they work on virtual whiteboards, our personal preference being Miro, in teams, pairs, or whatever is needed for the context. And always a coach is either in the breakout with them or leaving sticky notes in their working area with comments and suggestions. Participants then are also instructed to use the Ask for Help button. And when it's time to come back to plenary, which they know because there's a timer on their screen, they come back to high energy music like so. And as they join the rock stage, I'm gonna let it play. You can see them groove. They get into a little bit, exactly, right? They go into a groove and they carry that energy with them into the next session. So how easy is that? I mean, it is a lot easier than the in-person days where you have to, come on, we're starting, and it's just the press of a button and you bring the energy back up. So to summarize, we're trying to create a leave and rejoin experience when they go into the breakout sessions. We use virtual whiteboards, but not just put the PDF on a Miro and that's it. We create elaborate ones with like voting and little areas and onboarding obstacle courses and a lot of interesting cool things. They love to go into the Miro board, not only during the workshop, but even after. And they're facilitated breakouts. There's somebody with them. They're not left on their own accord feeling that this is just a break for us. Of course, now we're currently experimenting with some other technology that is going to augment this experience even further, allowing our clients to navigate the rooms that are applicable to them, making this even more self-directed and virtual reality-like. So stay tuned because we're constantly upgrading our setup. On to number 3. When a trainer has to illustrate something outside of the slideshow, the go-to practice is a flip chart at the front of the room. Good luck to the people sitting at the back. The direct interpretation of this in the online world, and I have seen it too many times, is a camera pointing at an actual flip chart or a whiteboard. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not mocking it. Instead, we've developed what we call a light board. And by the way, what I'm about to show you can also be done on a projector at an in-person event. So what's interesting is that some of this tech that we've kind of developed and hacked is also going to work its way back into the in-person events very soon. So, a light board. Here's how it works. By understanding layering and using a video mixer, which is really born for television stations, we're able to add levels of information in a three-dimensional space. What you see here is an actual light board that is built from plexiglass, LED strips, and white markers. The person is standing behind it and is drawing with light on a board, hence a light board. Let me show you our version. I'm going to grab my iPad, which I've already connected, press a switch, and write hello. So I can write anywhere, but what I want you to pay attention to is that this is in front of me, whereas the background is behind me and I have 6 layers in between. So pressing a button will make this disappear. Now, another way to obviously do annotations is using an iPad that is wirelessly connected to a Mac that's connected to a display, both of which are running a software for Mac called Keynote. You don't need any other fancy hardware other than your laptop and your iPad. If you're a PC person, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Fourth tactic. The fourth tactic is the use of music during breaks. Online, this is a big fail. Music playing while people switch off their cameras and start to check emails means that they have left your movie. You've lost them. Now, we can't guarantee that our participants won't get into work mode during breaks, but we at least try to keep our movie playing by showing an interesting music video like this. So this is the video we show when we're having a 5-minute coffee break. And I'm back. Good. So that was again layers, called overlays. And we've developed little movies for the different durations of the breaks. And this one is really from bean to cup, how coffee is developed. But really what they're doing is they're still looking at our video. It signals to our participants that although the training has been temporarily paused, the video is still alive. So not just black boxes and music, video music and sound effects. In addition, we use sound effects. So case in point, how many times have you heard a trainer ask the audience for an applause, only to encounter the awkwardness of everyone on mute pretending to clap? What if you heard something like this? And suddenly, I don't know why, just psychological, people actually clap. We've seen it happen again and again. The guru at this is Tony Robbins. Everything changes when you add sound effects. So I ask a question and somebody actually gives me a silly answer. And it's a fun little moment. I have 2 daughters, so I have a lot of dad jokes. I make fun of myself and everything changes. So it's ways to interact through the different little buttons and technology pieces by adding sound effects. Tactic number 5 is definitely an energy booster. When a trainer wanted to engage with the audience in person, they could ask someone to come to the main stage. Online, this became the boring tagline of our decade. You are on mute. The trainer will ask a participant to unmute themselves while everyone else is trying to figure out who's speaking. We put the spotlight on them simply by me saying so. For example, Akshay, can I call on you for a quick second? You can hear me, right? All right, Akshay, I want you to join me here on main stage. And me, here he is. Simply by saying that, he's appearing on the main stage because, well, it's not Siri, it's Victoria, who's our Zoom pilot, who has just put Akshay side by side with me on the speaker window. I never left the stage, I did not press any buttons, and the team that I have supporting me is co-producing the show. What do you think of this, Akshay? Good? Give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. And there you are. Okay, awesome. By the way, now that you've seen me do that, you may wonder if you're next. Right? So even that anticipation gets your energy up too. Moving on to tactic number 6. This is when you ask the audience to raise their hands in response to a question. Now, obviously online, this has basically stayed the same. That's if the trainer is wise enough to demand that everyone has their camera on, or has evolved into the emoji symbol, which comes with its own set of challenges, because it might not be as easy to spot the virtual little hand when you have a large audience. So at Talent Hacks, with the assistance of our full-time Zoom pilot, this isn't an issue. And I'll demonstrate in just a moment how I'm notified later on in a different demo. But in addition to emoji reactions, people use Zoom polls to prompt participants to respond to questions. It just feels like Zoom poll is from the 1980s. We try to engage our audience through their active participation in a virtual poll, which you may have experienced, that we then load onto this screen. So to do this, we ask participants to grab their phones. And you will do exactly that just now. I will talk you through this. So already you can grab your phone and either you can scan the QR code, I'll get out of the way, or you can go to menti.com and put in the code that you see on the screen. What I'm doing in the meantime, I'm going to switch the input of the blue screen behind me to a different computer that already has the Mentimeter loading. Thank you for the love. So when you see the heart, you can click it away as many times as you want. And now you're using your device, you're joining this poll, and I'm going to ask you some questions out of interest. Let's just see how we do. All right. You can always join because the instructions will stay at the top of the screen. But where are you joining us from? You may need to zoom in a little bit and just roughly approximately press the pin, and that will show us which country you're joining us from. And as soon as you do that, click submit. All right, so we're going to be seeing more continents, but seems like we have from all over the world. Excellent. No idea if some of you are at really bad time zones, but I think for you to be here, you're either really excited about technology or you don't sleep. Okay, next one. How many online training sessions have you participated in during the past 3 years? And this is where I join you. I'm back on stage, right? I can interact with the bars as they're live and interacting behind me. So 20, seriously, more than 21? Wow, okay. Wow, I was expecting a few people to say none. That's not the case. Good. Okay, let's see how this correlates to the next question, which is, describe your experience with the online training you've taken. If you didn't take any, that's what you click. If you loved most, some good, some bad, majority sucked, whatever it is that you feel the most. Wow, okay, very impressed with the people who took more than 21 and loved most. So you've had a really good fortune. So good, we have most of you in the middle. Some were good, some were bad, and some of you were unfortunately in the position to see that they sucked. I don't know why. It might be that you're younger and your attention span is lower. It might be something else. But this is exactly what we're trying to crack here as we're trying to develop technology that gets everybody excited. Good. And the next one is, what do you consider a healthy mix of mediums for training? Could be in person, and in person is live. It could be virtual like we're doing now, or it could be asynchronous online. So a pre-recorded video that you join an LMS platform and you take it from there. What do you think is a healthy mix? I'd love to. So you have 100 points and you need to allocate them accordingly. It's out of 100%, what would be a good mix? Let's just see what people are saying here. Craving the in-person, huh? What if I said in person but without the travel? Would your answer change? Maybe. Wow, it's actually almost an even split between the virtual and the in-person, which is interesting. Yeah. Yeah. See, I think the older you are, the more in-person you want to see things, and the younger you are, the more you appreciate the virtual. But that's an assumption, so I'm not asking your age for this. In-person has won. All right, good stuff. Now, what I will do here is go back to my show and move on to engagement tactic number 7. Thank you for participating, by the way. Now, this one is an audience favorite, the ever popular role play. If done correctly, it can be very powerful. But we found that most times, role plays are more of a mental break, and the message is not always as relevant to the participants as it should be. They simply don't take it as seriously as they can, because the reality is that not everyone can become a role player on command. If you were to do role plays online simply by asking people to unmute, be prepared for awkwardness. You could take them to breakout sessions for role plays, but there you're simply just relinquishing control altogether. We take control of this game in 2 ways. First, we have our own high-quality produced video role plays, and what you're about to see is a sample from our smart courses, the first one which we're currently developing. In this scene, you're going to watch an interaction between a harmonizer. This is the personality style we assign to people who are in love with people and teamwork and getting along and empathizing and so on. And a colleague who is representative of the average Joe. Now, he is simply trying to get his job done and advance the project. That's the context, the challenge for you. Notice not only the content, but the style of video, and we'll discuss it when we come back.
We're nearly done with this project, and what a ride it's been. Let's just wrap things up right now and finish off this last step with the same diligence we've been applying up until now.
I just want to say I'm proud. I am really proud of this team.
Sure. But let's just finish this project off, wrap it up, and it's the last step.
It's just great work. It's just great. I mean, I really feel that we're able to push through as a team, as a true team this time. I mean, we've had our obstacles and disagreements, which team doesn't, right? But we managed to overcome them, and that's what's important.
Sure, yes, but it's the last step.
Yes, the last step. It's all come down to this last step, the final task, all down to this final push to overcome challenges and naysayers.
Sure, but let's just get this.
Oh, and we will. And what an accomplishment it will be. Teamwork at its finest.
Come on.
You're amazing.
All right, so you see, it's not just a video. It's a scene from The Office, shot in Brooklyn Nine-Nine fashion. It has comedy, music specifically written for the shot, fast camera angles, motion graphics and sound effects, and it is the furthest thing away from a classic corporate stock footage roleplay with people in suits shaking hands. Earlier, when I spoke about generational gaps in learnability, I discussed the importance of being relevant and the competition we have with Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, and other channels out there. What if corporate training didn't have to suck? So this is our take on it, and what you've just seen is you're not paying attention to me. This is a call to action, just like the news. You can register for our smart course on our website, talenthacks.com. We have a beta program, probably launching around October. No COVID further delays anticipated. And I will stop that and get back to the content. Good. Now, we do have a separate room specifically designed for role plays, and we actually do these live. So how does that look like? We can take an audience from you, a question from you, the audience, and throw it to our actors, who are our very own coaches, who in turn act out the scene to be discussed back in plenary or in breakout session. We have a video producer on location who mixes the feed live, and what you see is almost identical to what you've just watched in the video. Is it easy to pull off? No. And to be honest, we're always double and triple checking all cables, wireless signals, but this is exactly where we're pushing the envelope. When it comes to technology, there's an ongoing evolution. And I honestly believe that 2 years from today, we'll look back at how we did things and wonder how we pulled it off compared to the simplicity that will be built into the technology of the future. But we've made a conscious choice to live up to the mantra of Talent Hacks and our wholehearted belief that staying relevant is no longer a choice, it's a survival tactic. And this means that what you see me present today on this webinar will very likely already be out of date in a few months. So let's move on. On to number 8. This one feeds into the needs of new generations. Yes, you can send a pre-workshop email, and you should. Of course, you can add the link to the Zoom meeting and you'll remind participants a couple of times as the day approaches. But that's not enough. If we are to movify corporate training, we need to level up. We need a teaser video that is sent to our audience for the purpose of generating excitement and to prime them for what they will see once they join. Just like going to the movies, you may have seen a trailer. Same here, we send a video welcoming participants and showing them action shots similar to the video we showed you when we launched this webinar. So, you see, we take marketing approach to content delivery because we believe that the learning and development industry needs to learn from the marketing industry in order to understand how they can grab attention. Finally, we schedule multiple open Test Your Tech virtual cafe sessions where we get to meet participants prior to the training. And then there we help them test their technology setup, onboard them onto some of the tools we'll be using in the workshop like Miro, virtual whiteboards, so on and so forth. Okay, nearing the end of the list, we're going to get a little bit more geeky. Tactic number 9 relates to the trainer's ability to read the room and adapt their content and energy accordingly. In person, for a seasoned trainer, this is easy. You don't only just walk around and approach participants who are falling asleep in an effort to reel the fleeting attention. You can also have an assistant at the back of the room who can also signal to you, this person is sleeping, maybe it's time for a break, or this person had their hand up, you didn't see them. So that's how at least we controlled the room in person prior to COVID. However, this is impossible to do well in gallery view. I mean, unless it's with 5 people, a screen full of faces doesn't really make it easy for you to scan them all while delivering content. As a result, trainers just train. And who cares about the energy in the room or people's needs? Wrong. We need a better way. And I must say, out of all the tech we use, this is the one I'm most proud of. It was completely accidental, one we didn't realize we could pull it off, but when we did, everything changed for me. I'm going to demo what I call the behind machine, the name we assign to the screen that allows me to have a brain behind my brain. So here is the behind the scenes, and to do this, I'm going to welcome to the studio my videographer, Alex, who is much taller than me. Come in. All right, so Alex just joined me in the studio, and what I will do now is I will see you over here and get out of the way. Hi. All right, so what I'm going to show you now is just some of the tech. This is totally behind the scenes, very unedited, raw, organic. Over here, you can see the setup, all the buttons I've been pressing throughout the show. And you can see I have this Stream Deck device, which is totally inspired by gamers. And I have programmed every single button to my specific use case. So if I want to show up with Alex here, hi. Or if we want to become small or just full and get out of the way, that's it. If I want to press a sound effect, and I can see how much time is left in that too. And then if you look up, this is the iPad, by the way, which has the light board. If you have the screen here, shows you all the different video inputs, so I can monitor and see what's going on. And you may wonder, how many things can you do at the same time? If you do this every day, it's not that difficult. When I take a Christmas break and come back, I forget every single button. But follow me, I'll show you how this works. This is the screen that I see, and this is all you. Say hi to you, wave, there you go. Awesome. So back here, I can see the speaker window, who is speaking, and here I can see my next slide. But at the very top, I have the amount of time remaining in the workshop, the local time, and here is the brain behind my brain. Here is the brain behind, yes, I am his brain's brain. So this is a screen that gets text, but from who? Dino, who is the head coach, who is able to listen to the audience's needs. And if I need to say something, if I've forgotten something, if somebody needs to do a quick research and maybe we can throw that into my mouth, basically, this is how we do things. It's changed a lot of things. It gives me more confidence that we can pull things off. I get notified of critical alerts, like my microphone is hissing or whatever it is. I rely on my team's messages to see all that stuff. Okay, let's move on. As Alex goes into the next space, where you will see two other people, which is Taz and Victoria. Victoria is our full-time Zoom pilot, and she makes sure that you're all on mute and that you're at the right breakout session. And Taz is one of our other coaches that joins the meetings and is also in charge of the overlays. And that's just part of the team. So that leads us to the final engagement tactic, number 10, audience questions. You know how this works in person, and you've experienced its literal interpretation through the over-reliance on Zoom chat, where everything and anything is discussed. If it's not managed correctly, it's the death of an online session and the birth of a gossip extravaganza. In our world, Victoria, who you've just seen, is scanning for people putting their hands up and alerts me on the behind machine that you've just seen that so-and-so with their name has a question. That way, I know to call them out by name while I give her time to put them on the spotlight, like we did before with Akshay. While this is happening, Taz is monitoring the chat, which may be on Zoom or it may be on other channels like Slack, where we build community and carry the dialogue both pre and post workshop. As a relevant question shows up, I don't have to worry about missing it because Taz sends me a message, you have questions in queue. And when I am ready, I'll say, let's take some questions from the audience, press this button, and then this will happen. There it is. Question from the audience and name. And then as that has already loaded, the next thing I'll say is, Taz, let's move on to the next question. And then this will happen. What does it cost to have a setup similar to yours? Now, nobody asked that, but I know you're all wondering. You can get started with about $2,000 to $3,000 and then work your way up from there. But if it is your business, then obviously this is a very small investment to make. And then I press the questions to disappear and off they go. So there you have it. 10 ways to boost engagement through technology. That's if you're not afraid of technology. Corporate training, at least the way it's done today, we believe sucks because boring and outdated learning and development simply just doesn't work anymore. We at Talent Hacks, we're a training aid consultancy that's here to change that, and we believe that in giving professionals fast and practical solutions to help them hack their talent and grow. No more iceberg images, no more forgettable theories, no more watching paint dry. L&D must be practical, relevant, immediate, and above all, fun. So here is a final teaser video of our services. Of course, again, with the same medium, a video. All right, so we've been at this for over a decade and realized that the industry was long due for an overhaul. COVID accelerated that for us, and we're currently working with our clients to reinvent corporate training. Everyone, thank you very much for joining. I hope you appreciate it. You got something out of this, and at least if nothing else, be inspired to use technology more. You can feel free to scan the QR code to go into our LinkedIn page where we post most of our updates. But I have left 10 minutes for questions. And like I said before, let's cue some of the questions while you think about it. So I'm going to open it up. You can unmute and ask as well. But let's begin with the first question that I see on the screen. There we go. How to solve the problem that Zoom and Teams usually do not allow real full HD? Do you just book the webinar package? So I had this issue and it was terrifying after we invested a lot of in technology, and then I realized that Zoom was sometimes HD. By the way, I will not speak about Teams. I never use it. I avoid it. I hate it. So I'm probably going to say that. Okay. So Zoom it is for me. I contacted Zoom and I asked them politely to enable the always HD on feature, and they agreed. Now, I've said this tip to many people, so maybe if they got too many requests, they might not be as lenient, but it doesn't hurt to try. So then you go into your admin panel and you select always on, and that solved the problem for me. So for slides, it's great. For Excel spreadsheets like this, it's not that good. Another question from the audience. Let's throw that on the screen. And that is, how does Paris have the sound effects ready? Is there any specific tip? So sound effects, Jonas, I am using a Stream Deck, like the one I have for the buttons, only I put the Stream Deck app on an iPad mini. So the buttons are just a lot bigger for my fingers, right? And then I go on the Stream Deck and I load the different sound effects. I name them what I want. So I have clap big, laugh, drum, joke, sad, and I have them in front of me. And I have multiple screens of this. Usually before a session, I'll think it through and kind of build some expectations. I'll create a custom screen for that session, and then I'll just use that. I usually try to not flip pages. It gets too distracting, but that's the way I do it. There's one more question in the queue, and then we'll open it up to the audience. Is there one, Taz? Yeah? There is? Okay. Is it coming? Should I move away? Okay. How much time do you spend checking the tech before your training session? Great question. It would take us one whole day to prepare for a training session when we're doing things in person. Today it takes us 40 minutes. So I know that I need to drop off my daughter at school, come here at 8. If a training session starts at 9, I'll start turning things on, and it takes me 20 minutes to turn all the devices and computers and everything on. Once that 20 minutes is up, we go into a 20-minute testing session where we test everything. Overlays, microphones, sound, battery levels, all of it. We have a checklist just like pilots do. And then we have 20 minutes left where we have a coffee and get ready for the show. It is a lot easier in our life now than it used to be before, taking a whole day to set up a room with posters. Am I sending out a recording? So this was sent into the Behind machine, which I just saw. Yes, everybody who's participated in this and everybody who has not will get a recording of this session probably in a couple of days as we stitch it together. And what I'm also doing now is, yes, we're recording on Zoom, but I'm also recording on my video mixer, which will be in HD. So hopefully that will be even better resolution for you. More questions are coming up. Yeah, just keep them bringing. Is Zoom going to change anything with regards to its green screen functionality? They have already enabled a new feature, which is use your slides as a background. The way they executed it to me is wrong. It doesn't work as well. I don't know what their plans are to change something else, but if you don't have a screen, green, blue, whatever color, then I strongly suggest you get one, because the focus and all that stuff doesn't really work well. It's sad when you see people losing their ears off while you're having a meeting. So yeah. Is it possible to run a session like this without a production team? So yes, I think the highest value is from having the Zoom pilot control you. The people who will accidentally unmute, the breakout session rearrangements, which we do all the time, so we mix the teams. I can't stop the training to go and do that. So it's really helpful to have some. Now, depending on your workshop design, all the other stuff, like what I'm doing here with the buttons, I can pretty much put on a show on my own unless I need demands for teamwork. And then that means I need the team. But I also lose Dino's brain behind my brain, Tazos's coaching. So yeah, obviously a team adds a lot more value. What technology are you using to integrate the tools into video? OBS. Okay, and there's another one. So I keep getting questions from all over the place. I don't use OBS. I decided consciously to avoid software. We do have a very expensive Mac computer here, which we call the cockroach, because for the amount of money we spent, it better survive a nuclear war. It allows me to connect 11 monitors to it. Now, all that's the brains, in addition to Blackmagic Atom Mini Express. And so if you're in this game, you will know what I mean. If you're not, look at the company Blackmagic for the video mixers. Then I combine that with Stream Decks, good DSLR cameras, and all that tech is in the handout, which you will get. But I avoid Ecamm Live, OBS, and all that stuff. Do you do the question overlay via Keynote 2 with Luma Key? It's not a bad suggestion. Jan, if you were to do, yeah, you could. Just not everywhere, only over Keynote. So what I usually, yes. So if you were to do Luma, by the way, sorry, I'll get a bit geeky. Not everybody knows what Luma is. If I were to do Luma, I would remove black and I would have a black slide, obviously, and then use that in Keynote and activate that. So I guess technically, as long as you have a black screen on your projected computer, you could do that. I use Procreate on my iPad, and then I connect to an Apple TV, and then use Luma. Okay, no more geekiness. How much of this delivery and experience can be delivered with one person versus 3 to 4? It's very contextual. I mean, you can, again, a lot of these buttons are custom to your use case. You can do all of these things, the big, small, mics on, mics off, overlays, start the questions, but I can't go and type that question that just showed up here. So you will compromise if you don't have a team. The beauty of this, I mean, we are lucky to have everybody in this office. They don't have to be. They can be anywhere in the world. And I've done sessions with Zoom pilots in Switzerland. And people were putting behind machine messages from Africa. Like, it didn't really matter because everything is connected. I had a team in this office, but nobody was here. So yeah, it's possible to do this. We work in teams, so I can't really answer how much you can do. What else? How do you deal with blended audience now that some students return to in-person while you may have others attending virtually? Right. So students isn't a word we use. It's usually professionals in our case. We do corporate training. And we have had the situation, this was last November, where the client wanted a hybrid meeting. So we went to Hamburg, set up the in-person meeting, took a bunch of gear with us. It's quite small, the atoms and all that kind of stuff. Ordered a bunch from Germany, like the microphones and all that stuff. Spent a day setting up the room and made sure that the people attending virtually had their own screen so it felt like they were there. And the sound was heard really beautifully from everybody in the audience with all these different mics we had. We used our knowledge to really set up a hybrid situation, but it is insanely laborious, expensive, takes time. It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. That's how we did it. And since then, we invested in these mics, Rode Wireless Go. And these are fantastic for you to take with you. You can have a bunch of these and use them for the audience that's in the room so that your participants can actually hear virtually from wherever they are. All right. Thank you again for participating, and this is how we sign off.